Hi all, welcome to another Chess24 Banter Blitz. So you can use the amazing voucher code Kingscrusher for a whopping 15% off. Let me just sort this out actually. Let me just see the preview screen. Okay, and mute over here. Yes. Okay, so there's this voucher code. You can get to play the likes of Magnus Carlsen and other grandmasters and players like me even. So yep, 15% off Kingscrusher voucher code. Let's go to the challenge screen now. I hope audio and visual is okay. And let's take the first challenge today. Please let me know if there's any issue. Otherwise, we'll take the first challenge today. Don Williams. Take my subtitles off. Okay, Don is first today. Don Williams. Okay, hi Don. So e4, let's play knight c6. Try the tango. I'm already a little bit happy with the provocation on the dark squares. Okay, this is a critical test though, h4. It is a bit of a critical test. I'm usually thinking h5 is okay here. In this particular position, sometimes when this diagonal is open, sometimes there's a nasty, capture on g6, double pawns and stuff, horrible things happen. But here I'm feeling a little bit cozier than usual. So knight f6. So I'm hitting that pawn. I think Don lost the pawn in the centre and just gave up last week. Was it somewhere else? So I'm hoping he's protecting the pawn, yes. Okay, so bishop c5. So I'm assuming actually knight takes e4 doesn't work under most circumstances. He's testing that though. I'm sure it doesn't work. I lose my queen for nothing after bishop f2, king f1, unless there was a bishop h3 check, which is not legal at all as a move. So, but I'll play d6 here. g3 is slightly peculiar. What is the meaning of g3? I'm just wondering why oh, is it to do with the h4 pawn, protecting h4? I guess. But it's nice to get a voluntary light square weaknesses here from g3. Yes, I wasn't even looking for that. So interesting. g3. Right. So if I play a6 to safeguard this bishop, and maybe even just drop the bishop back here, or bishop d7, maybe, or bishop g4. Actually, bishop g4 seems more positive than the others. Bishop g4. And so I'll put this bishop back voluntarily because b4 is coming, essentially. Right, now maybe this. So unpin. That gives me the possibility of bishop h3 and queen g4, threatening queen takes g3. That pin pawn, I'm looking at that pin pawn with some excitement. So bishop h3, queen g4 could be a nuisance for white. Unless, I don't know, king h2 there. Oh, there's bishop takes f2 there in that position. So I think bishop h3 with the idea, actually even knight g4 is dangerous, or queen g4. Queen g4, king h2, bishop f2 will be looking at g3 though. Alright, yes. Okay, so knight g4 here looks interesting. So if he took hg, I think my pawn's okay. I'm threatening immediately things like, well, f6 could be dangerous. The h-file as well, I'm hoping. you know, for knight h4, for example. So f6 and knight h4 looks rather promising. Some tactical opportunities, I hope, with f6 here. Okay, so f6, I'm wondering about that here. Playing it. Is it better if I play bishop f1 or knight h4 or rook h4? If takes, bishop h3, knight f3. No, my pieces are a bit loose there. I'm wondering if just a rook sack and then knight h4, f3. Oh, there's knight f3. Yeah, I think a rook sack here is good for knight f3 possibility. So rook takes h4, g takes, knight takes. There's no f3. If bishop takes, there's knight f3 check. If f3, there was bishop takes e3 check. So I'm thinking the rook sack looks like a bit of fun to be had. I'm hoping this is sound, although I can't guarantee that. Okay, maybe it's not entirely sound here. He's going to accept the rook, yes? Alright, so he wants the queens exchanged off. I do not want the queens exchanged off, so c6. So my attack needs some support here. Let's put the king there to be able to play rook a8, rook h8. If I have that position with rook h8, knight f3 is then dangerous. King g2, rook h2, king g3 though. Probably need to work out something. Maybe actually knight d4, bounce to knight d4 here. Could be in order to shield the d file. A draw offer? He's material up. Am I pushing my luck? 3, 4, 5, 6. I am just a piece down now. Actually, I'm not sure I've got any attack. You know what? Thanks for the draw offer. I don't know why he doesn't play for a win. I think I'm just a knight down. I'll accept that. I'll accept that. Okay. Surely I'm just a knight down. I might have overcooked things, as I have done in the past. White's definitely winning that. Where did it work? Where didn't it work? This attack for a moment. Taking. No, I don't think. I think Queen A4 is a very good move here, actually. Queen A4, well, among others. I'm not sure this is really sound. It's a bit of a bluff attack, actually, it seems. The engine doesn't like it. Okay, thanks for the draw offer. I don't know, you could just play for a win here. I think I might have overcooked things in that first game. I'm not usually that stable in my first game, especially. But anyway, okay, thanks for the let off. Okay, the mechanic. I'll play knight c3. Yeah, I think Queen A4 extinguished things. Very good. Queen A4 extinguished any. I was hoping to get my queen, into the attack, and there was no chance of that. So that was great. That Queen A4, exploiting the king being in the center, my king being in the center. Okay, time to wake up a bit more. I've got some coffee here. I think I get carried away sometimes with the sacrifices. Too much towel sometimes. Okay. A3 and bishop A2. Bishop A2 and castling. I'm thinking, because this f pawn's moved, I can later play queen e1 to h4. Like, it's a nice resource also in the Dutch defense where you can swing your queen over for the attack. So queen e1 to h4 is a nice resource in this type of position when with that f pawn moved. So that diagonal's now sort of opened up. Okay, so king h1, and I'm hoping I'm going to get a reasonable possession here. Queen e1, there's knight takes c2 though. So in fact, I think black's disabled my h3 here. Yeah, I think h3 is a bad idea. There's always taking, check. Or mind you, there's knight h2. Okay, g takes. So knight e2, knight takes f3. Can I just nudge this knight away safely? And this knight g4. I have to look at forcing moves. Knight g4. I think I can just. Actually, knight g4 is knight g3 is also dangerous. Rook f2. If knight g3, king g1, rook f2 seems as though it's plausible. Okay, I'll go with rook f2. I'm hoping it's plausible. I know knight g3 looks scary. There's no knight f4. It gives me the possibility of actually queen f1. Actually, I'm protecting c2 as well. Queen f1 would be possible after. Actually, not queen f1 there, knight g3. Okay. Yeah. That's a sticky position. A tricky position. King g2, king g1 would unpin my h2 pawn. Sometimes unpinning is useful. It might be here. I'm hoping this one just to unpin, just to give me queen f1 without any total disaster. Can I play queen f1 now? Right, can I play queen g2 or f5? Maybe f5 is generally useful, or king h1, here's knight g3 again, queen g2, there's knight f4. Bit passive. Knight e2 doesn't help. f5, I don't know if that's helping black more. I think I'm going to have to give up this pawn. This is not a happy position entirely. Giving up that pawn. Yeah. I'll take that. Try and get off the dark squares anyway. Rook g1, knight e2. Rook g1. Knight d1. Knight d1 might be handy to play c3. Okay, if I can kick that knight, that might be something. And then put the bishop on this diagonal, and maybe the g-file later is dangerous. Maybe I'll be back in gear. So c3, bishop b1. Yeah. c3 and bishop b1 would be, I think, my intention here. This knight's too good on d4. c3 and bishop b1. I'm hoping in... Oh, I don't know what that is about. Okay, so c3, bishop b1. Okay, now I can cover, I can play for rook g4 with queen h3. I don't know if that's worth it. Queen c1 is a bit of a nuisance. That's why I'm thinking actually rook e2. If there's only queen c1, there's knight e3. So maybe actually rook e2 is useful, just to give the resource knight e3 if needed. So some weird queen c1. So I want to be able to play queen h3 and rook g4 without any invasive disaster like queen c1, because there'll be knight e3, I believe now. Okay, so queen h3 gives me the possibility of rook g4. Aha. Okay, my bishop's sort of adding solidity there. What about just doubling the rooks now? So rook takes g6 might be on the cards. Okay, if I took on d5 or f5 or knight f2, maybe knight f2. If I try and weaken on the light squares, if I take and then c4, or am I in trouble here? It looks as though it's a bit passive. If I took on d5, is that e3? d5, e3, is that really, really dangerous? Knight d1, okay. I can take here. Okay, I don't mind grabbing the pawns, I think. Because there's knight g4 or bishop e4. Yeah, I just was on the defensive. Well played. I just was on the defensive quite a bit there. Near disaster, actually. Well played. If I'd made the slightest slip up, that would be disaster. I mean, losing the pawn was the lesser evil, I think, so to speak. Losing that f pawn. I'll try this setup again. It is one of my favourite Grand Prix style setups, generally. There is the possibility of A being bishop f7 here. Rook a8 hits the knight. It's a nice tactic, I think. Even if c3 is lost, I got b8. I'm hoping b8. Unless I'm missing something with queen b6 check. I don't know, queen b6 check. Right, rook b3 here might be nifty. Well, there's bishop e6, rook c3. Okay, so rook, in other words, rook b3 might be worth it. And here, if bishop e6 there, then that's a different thing, isn't it? Bishop e6 is a bit of an inconvenience, or is it? Just wondering. I could play perhaps rook takes. Any discover the I mean, 2 pieces. Mind you, there's queen b6 after winning the bishop on b2. So say rook b2, knight e4, takes, check. So I'll be back to square one. So maybe, in fact, I should do this one. Just keep an eye on queen b6. So bishop e6, yes, a pain. Yeah, in fact, rook a3, queen b6. This is bishop d4 there. There's bishop d4 there. Okay, so it seems technically possible. Bishop e6, rook a3. If queen b6, bishop d4 protects the bishop. So bishop e6, rook a3. I'm just wondering if rook b4, c5. This is looking a bit dodgy where my rook's going. Although that would blunt that diagonal. So I think here rook a3 is plausible. Queen b6, bishop d4. And there's also, I mean, queen a1 is nice. Knight g5 is potentially... no, not nice, because then there's queen... Okay, let's just protect this for a moment. Okay, there is potential issues still here. With b2. Okay, bishop d4. If I grab that tempo for a moment. So useful might be knight g5. Or bishop c3. If c4, bishop d4 again. Maybe bishop c3. My pieces are protecting each other. So, yeah, c4, bishop d4. So I'm threatening basically knight g5, I believe, knight g5. I don't know if e5, knight d5, or rook a8 check. Maybe rook a8 check, and then rook b1 looks nice on the queen. Maybe queen c6, queen a6, trying to chase a queen exchange. Might be a nice idea. Queen a6, trying to get the queens off. If queen d7, rook b7, I seem to be trapping the queen there. Queen d7, rook b7. Knight e4, that is a loose piece to be paranoid about. I think a lot of players under a certain level, yeah, loose pieces are a major source of disaster. I think loose pieces actually are interesting theoretically, just abstractly to me, as well as a practical cause of losses for many people, because I think that they're an example of something which is an example of a theoretical liability. Quite often loose or even semi-loose pieces in the extreme, partially loose pieces, they're a theoretical liability often which can quickly transform into an actual liability. So actually I've been going through one of my coaches' games recently. We've been looking at putting all the games in a library and noticing some patterns, and one of the most important seems to be loose piece disasters. And it's so easy. I mean, for any level of player, actually, grandmasters, having a loose piece is, as John Nunn says, loose pieces tend to fall off. This idea that the theoretical liability can turn into an actual exploitable liability, it's a great example of that. Like my loose pawn just fell off as another example. Okay, let's try and put some pressure on the position here. But I think generally, so if players aim to keep their pieces protected, it's a great sort of responsibility to one's own position, not to have any theoretical liabilities which can creep into actual liabilities. And that's the same thing with pin pieces, overloaded pieces, you know, pawn structure. Each of those can be treated as theoretical liabilities which can lurk into actual liabilities. So being able to play safely with your position is a cool thing, even if you're attacking player, as a basis, you know, for a later attack, to start with a stable position where you're not, all your pieces are not dropping off. So I'm trying to encourage that stability. So looking at the position, scanning for where you've got loose pieces. So there's another great, there's a great streamer, Bartholomew. He's got a fantastic video I recommend to a lot of people on the subject about loose pieces as well. If you want to check it out, it's a really cool thing. But I think it's a major source of liability for players up to a certain rating. So anyway, I'm losing f3 here, aren't I? King f6. I'm going to be losing f3. Okay, so I'm going to lose f3. That's a shame. But I'm still technically the exchange up, ahead on the clock. But so d4 loses the rook. Okay, so rook a3 loses the pawn, does it? Or does it? Yeah, probably to knight takes d3. Okay. So I'm under pressure here. Rook h8 or rook d8. Rook h8, rook d8. Or rook, keep my pieces protecting each other. Rook 8 gives me some options actually, like d4. If I actually protect that rook, to follow my own advice here about not having loose pieces, d4 becomes actually possible. Okay, so king f1. I think d4 is becoming possible here. Or not. Oh. Okay. That's not funny, is it? I'm going to be losing d3 here. This is becoming a war of attrition suddenly. Okay, rook takes h6. Can I try and... Oh, it's not much, is it, to play for here? I'm only the exchange up. Okay, the clock advantage is probably... Oh, well, that does lose the knight, though. That does lose the knight. Okay, thanks. Okay, loose pieces. Yeah, that's a major theme at the moment for me, for one of my coaches. That's why I'm mentioning that. I think for a lot of people, though, yeah, it's a tendency. It's an interesting form of how theoretical liabilities turn into actual ones. I think that applies to all the other, sorts, more subtle as well. Because the opponent in chess is going to be extremely resourceful. So whatever you think is theoretical, it's not really always safe. Because with the resourcefulness in chess positions, things like any form of tactical liability can often spell disaster in the right circumstance. So even if you think your back row is not is no problem, two or three defensive pieces could be distracted, and all of a sudden it becomes a problem. So that tendency of liabilities to creep from theoretical to actual, I think is very interesting to me. It's a very interesting part of chess, and playing stronger and stronger opponents. I probably have a bias myself, though. When I'm playing Blitz, I'm probably looking more at the opponent's downsides, what I call downsides, than my own. But yeah, for generally though, when I'm looking at games of people recently, yeah, it does seem you have to pay attention to your own issues in the possession, not to creep from theoretical to actual. But okay, so here, if I can castle, I'm thinking this should be okay. If I castle and king h7. Okay, knight takes e5, knight takes e5, bishop takes e5. I'm not sure I want the queens off here, so I'm going to risk taking on on e5. Okay, I'm going to put the bishop back. I'm hoping this is not a major. I'm a fan of Clint Eastwood. This is those spaghetti westerns. I was watching those all the time. Those are brilliant. There's some classics. There's a classic trio of films, isn't there? Spaghetti western. Was it 4 of them? 3 or 4 of them, at least, that are absolute classics. On the Good, Bad and Ugly. Used to love that. The music, atmosphere, the intensity of them. So C6. I think Breaking Bad series on Netflix shares that kind of intensity on the characters and the script when it's in a sort of barren land and stuff. It's amazing how that brings out the intensity of the characters and the script generally. But yeah, Good, Bad and Ugly, that was amazing. If you haven't seen it. So Bishop B7. I'm sure most of you have seen it. Yeah, have you? So anyway, if I play King H7 and let's have a look at that picture. Clint Eastwood. Okay, so B4. What about B4 here? So Rook AD1. If I unpin this pawn, again, trying to get rid of a kind of liability, that pin, trying to make sure it doesn't create a massive disaster immediately. So unpinning can be a good move, like in the same way that unloosening a piece, trying to undo any liabilities before they creep from being theoretical to actual liabilities. So exploitable. So Bishop A6 is... I can do Bishop A6. I'm not sure how useful that is. King H7, King H7, King H7 doesn't seem that bad. Although I'm under attacking pressure. Can I play this? My position's creaking, isn't it? Really, objectively, I hate to say it, my position does seem as though it's creaking a bit here, as though there's going to be a horrible sacrifice. I'm going to volunteer weaknesses. Oh god, this does not look clever. This does not look at all clever. It looks as though white's going to be... I'm just worried about being wiped out here with a piece sack, but I'm not sure exactly what to do about it. I might have to try blunting the bishop next move. This piece that might already work. Yeah. That's kind of lesser evil considering my king could be blasted. So weakening e6 is a kind of lesser evil decision. c5 is probably tactically possible here. On takes c takes d4. Knight b5 could be a pain though. Queen b6, rook d6 is possible. Okay, queen a5. Queen a5. There's another resorting to candidate move. Analysis here for queen a5. Which is a bit of a desperate thing because I don't even like candidate move theory. So b3, not that much. Bishop takes. Okay, so rook d8 or f5. Maybe f5 here. This does not seem very happy at the moment, this position. On the back foot. Can I take here for rook e8 after? So I'm a pawn down. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, there's a nasty pin. I think I'm on the way out here. There's a nasty pin after rook d7. c4. Actually, what was that about? Hold on. Let's just have a look what happened there. What's this about? I can just take that. Was that a mouse slip? That seems to wreck white's position. I think I was on the way out. There. With rook d7. Yeah, rook d7. I think I'm on the way out here. If we look at this before the mouse step, white's much better. Yes, I thought just rook here. Let's see this position. Rook d7. Yeah, rook d7. Simple and strong pinning. Surely just pinning there, and it's very, very dangerous for me. Yeah, I think things have gone really wrong. This is zapping me, isn't it? It's quite quick to get to my king. Yeah, I think I was on the way out there. That was a bit of luck, pure luck. I was on the way out. Okay. Killer cut. So I'm playing knight c3 to try and confuse a little bit in the opening. This Vienna I've been looking at recently. So this quiet g3 I think is interesting to consider. So I've actually been looking in recent days at the latest with Decap, my friend Decap. He's been sending me these games with various opening positions we're testing. And unfortunately, actually, f5 is one of the scarier things that black can do against the Vienna. So this is an interesting test. Can I quickly play d4? d4. Okay. Now what's cooking? h3, d5, d5 for knight d4, maybe d5 for knight d4. But mind you, there's bishop g4. Do I want to stop bishop g4? I've just given the possibility of knight f3 check as well. So it's all go here for weird and wonderful possibilities. Knight d4 might extinguish knight f3, but there's bishop g4. If I play h3, there's knight f3, but there's king f1. So I'm thinking maybe king f1 now. Knight f3, king f1. But if I can get away with knight d4, if bishop g6, there's knight e6. So if the bishop goes the other way, then maybe I can take on e4. Alright, so knight f3 back on the cards. Alright, let's just castle here, I think. Alright, oh, that seems a bit of a slow move, h6. Okay, can I entrench a knight? Because I'm thinking knight takes, queen takes, there's knight c7. So I think I can entrench that knight tactically. Uh-huh. Okay, so that's an interesting position. Is it possible f4 is actually a good move here? Trying to just get this f file opened up. So even if I have to give up the bishop, I think this pin on the knight is a very interesting practical thing. Okay, this entrenched knight, also knight c7 is dangerous. But I wanted to blunt that bishop. Okay, so knight takes e4 here. Or bishop e3. Bishop e3, and I can just take that and take that. A bit less controversial, because there's always knight takes d5. I don't know if that's controversial or what. On knight c4, bishop d4. I think this is interesting, just bishop e3 here. For the idea of bishop takes, then knight takes e4. Am I mistaken about that? I could be. On the other hand, giving up a bishop of a certain colour, as we've seen from some neural network games, that's often the prelude to attacking the other colour. When you give up a dark square bishop, often the light squares, it seems, at least in computer games, they seem to be a problem after, for some reason. So here the light squares, if I'm looking for light square play, there's plenty of it. Queen h5, king d7, queen h5, I think to start things off, queen h5. Okay, so can I just do a move like this, trying to keep the position solid, and blunt this queen on the diagonal? If I just blunt that queen for a moment. Okay, so blunt the queen on that diagonal as well, so just in case. So these are sort of strengthening moves, a bit like, you know, unloosening pieces, unpinning pieces. They're sort of taking away possibilities of the opponent's pieces. Another sort of form of strengthening, I think, the position. trying to avoid these potential liabilities that creep up. So rook f2. Okay, so rook f2 might be good here. As long as that bishop's contained, then there's less of a dark square liability. I would hope. Can I play bishop takes, or is there bishop f5? I don't know. The knight's holding c5, isn't it? Can I not just take on c5? Isn't there rook e6 here? Rook e6 looks tempting. I can potentially double the rooks after. If I can double the rooks, that surely it looks good to double the rooks in general. So bishop f6, getting the bishop out of harm's way there. Bishop f6, what would I have? Okay, queen f3 seems sensible. Queen f3 does seem as though it's a sensible move. Bishop e5 would hit f5. Would I be worried? What about if I play g4 here? Do I play g4 here? I can take that because my queen is actually protected by the bishop. I think I can take that. Oh, then I lose the rook after. Okay, so something a little bit more is needed. Okay, let's think. This bishop seems, I mean, the king seems a bit loose. If I just snapped off that bishop, I'm tempted for bishop b7 after, which would give me actually queen c6 potentially. In fact, I can do that immediately with takes. If takes, queen c6, king d8, queen c8 is mating. So I think it starts with taking this pawn, which weakens c6. So any g takes, which means king e6, I just play rook takes, and then queen c6, king d8, queen c8. So, okay, I'll start with bishop takes b7 here, I think. So g takes, rook takes, queen c6, king d8, queen c8. That looks very good to try and get to the king before I lose my material here. It's quite easy to have loose pieces when you're attacking, especially they come a bit loose even to the opponent's king sometimes, as this shows. So as long as they create some common squares just in time for the attack, that trade-off, that temporary trade-off of looseness versus attacking opportunity, like here I can get that common square just in time, queen c6, common square, protecting the rook. That check protects that rook. King d8, there's another common square, queen c8. But otherwise they can be really just loose pieces. Queen c6, king d8, queen c8 is checkmate there, I think. Okay, thanks for that, Killer Cat. Yeah, it looked dangerous there for a moment, in the opening especially, for me. So Gogin Pool. Okay, Gogin Pool. Okay, so this is invited e4. I don't think it's such a bad problem to play e4 here. There's no knight g5 because the queen takes g5. That pawn hasn't moved yet, so there's no control of g5 just yet. Could I just, I don't know if f5 is too weakening, or can I get away with it? It's a bit ambitious. I think I'll go for it on this occasion. So knight f6 and bishop c5. It's a spearheaded pawn, so I'm ready to recapture if needed. It's the pieces around this. You could consider white's play as sort of hypermodern provocation, but it really depends what happens. If I can persist these pawns in the centre. That's a nice f4 square for knight h3 to f4 though, to be aware of. Can I get to play d5 though and try and maybe castle queenside or play d3? Okay, so that wasn't challenged. So knight takes d4 looks interesting for the kind of piece play I might be able to get here. Like bishop d7 to c6, queen d7, castle queenside. There's also the possibility of bishop f7 now. I think I'll take that up. So knight f4, bishop f7. with the idea of queen d7 and castling queenside. Okay, so I think this looks fairly comfortable. This semi-open d file in particular, if I can make use of that with castling queenside. Castling queenside I'm a bit wondering about, because I'm thinking with this pawn here, sometimes when you castle kingside, there's h5 and knight g6 later. So maybe because of that possibility of activating the rook further, maybe castling queenside is something to think about. Okay, bishop c5 here. It looks as though white's a little bit fragile, lack of development, as though something like knight f3 is going to happen. Or bishop h5, that looks like a nasty pin. In fact, f3, bishop takes f3, g takes knight f3 is checkmate here. It looks as though I can even play bishop f3. Yeah, this looks dangerous now. This looks officially quite dangerous for white, this position. If I can play bishop f3 and knight g4, that looks particularly naughty, potentially, if I've got those possibilities. I'll keep the bishop around on this, and knight f3 here is dangerous. Okay, I'll put the bishop here. And the bishop going here. Is there some naughty technical possibilities emerging here? Like bishop g3. I'm just looking at some weird and wonderful technical opportunities now. Because it looks as though there's a big congestion issue, which surely I could celebrate somehow in some technical way. Well, knight f3 check looks like a good technical move. It's checkmate. It's checkmate, I'm afraid. Okay, thanks, Goggin. Yeah, there was some bad congestion there, I think, in the position. Amelope. Hi there, Amelope. Okay, let's try with, again, knight c3. Okay, so we'll play e4. So this is an interesting territory. I think knight d7. I think f4 actually, not e6. I'm going to go with the more conservative f4. The e6 pawn sacrifice can sometimes backfire. I think sometimes it's good, sometimes it backfires. I don't quite understand the complexities of it. That choice sometimes of how much risk you want to take, the uncertainty, the irreversibility of decisions. I find that quite interesting as well in chess. I think maybe the longer the time limit, the more you can explore the weird and wonderful. The shorter you might want to be making moves which are more reversible. If you haven't got time to really fully explore the soundness of something, you might want to pick a move which is more reversible, basically, less committal. So anyway, that early pawn sack in the opening is an example of something really quite complicated, that sometimes black gets a huge center out of it. Okay, so here f5 looks as though that's plausible here with the idea of f6. So f6 looks quite dangerous, I believe. f6 here looks dangerous. I'm not losing a piece yet, am I? Trying to blast this kingside pawn chain. Okay, so threatening that rook. Rook c2 seems plausible at the moment. Or is there anything else? Queen c2. I'm just worrying, bishop c1, rook f7 doesn't work this stuff because queen takes protects g6. If even rook f7, queen g6 is not mating yet. So this idea of the f file f7 sack at the moment is just a small signal. It could become an actual liability later from the theoretical one. But at the moment, yeah, this idea is not working. I can play maybe rook c2 is good for the moment. Or rook f6. Actually, rook f6 looks at h6. That now is tempting. I'm actually tempted with rook f6. I'm going to go for it. Rook f6, not rook f7, but this one, more conservative, looking at h6. So bishop c1. Oh, bishop h6. There's bishop h6 though. Okay. So I've just lost an exchange. But it's dangerous, surely. I'm hoping it's dangerous anyway. Looking back now at this idea of the sack, after knight f4, say rook h8, knight f4, there are possibilities of sacrificing here, I think, with, say, rook g6 and knight e6, winning the queen. So knight f4 looks dangerous. Let's see what else is going on there. So rook g6 is a little bit dangerous. Knight e6. Queen c2 is a little bit dangerous. So say queen c3, rook f7, queen g6, king e7, queen g7. It looks as though I'm winning a lot of material there. So it looks, in other words, queen c2 looks like a dangerous possibility. I'm hoping I'm not going sacrificially crazy here. I'm hoping there's actually some real compensation. Rook g6, rook e6, knight e6. In fact, knight e6 looks the most solid of them all after queen c3. Because knight e6, f takes, queen g6 looks as though that's mating. King g8, rook g6. And if fg, queen g6 is mating, it looks as though knight e6 is actually mating in this position. Yes, because rook g6, there's rook g6 here. If king h7, there's rook g7, that's double check and mate. If fg, queen g6 is checkmate. Okay, rook g7 is checkmate, I believe. Yeah, I think there was some. That's an example of. There's some theoretical liabilities. If you look at resourceful possibilities here, these theoretical liabilities, it's very, that distance between something being pushed from a theoretical liability, you know, of rook f7 to an actual liability is not that far as you'd imagine. It's actually much closer than you could possibly imagine. Okay, I noticed bishop h6. There's bishop takes h6 here, but now this is really dangerous. This stuff. With knight e6, queen c2, and rook f7, these dangerous forcing moves, like 1, 2, 3 of them, are coming into being here. It seems, but I don't know what the computer would think of this. Maybe there's a defense there. If we have a quick look, oh, white. It does say white's better there, even if rook h7, knight e6. Oh, it's changed its mind. Maybe it's a bit complicated. It's changed its mind. Rook e6. Okay, the computer doesn't know. I'm not sure to trust this. It needs an exhaustive analysis. Okay, interesting. Okay, let's have a look at the next challenge. Boltovsky. Okay, Portovsky, let's play knight c3 again. And we'll go into a Vienna game. So this is what I've been looking at recently, this Vienna game. Against either knight c6 or knight f6. I think this g3 with bishop g2 is a solid line in the Vienna. As long as there's no immediate knight g4 blasting on f2, that is a concern. Because black has quickly set up for an f2 attack here. Okay, can I just, against the possibility of the pin, not to have the pin, and to unpin this one as well, so not to have this relative pin or this absolute pin, both of them, trying to extinguish the pins. So by playing h3 and king h2, trying to get off this absolute pin, which means that later d3 and f4 becomes possible. If I unpin this f pawn, I can look forward to gaining space on the king side later. So king h2, d3, f4, with the idea of f5, is a sort of King's Engine attack style position that I kind of like. I've seen some leader examples in this recently. as well. This space gaining on faster time controls. It does seem like a nice plan. So d3 with the idea of f4 and f5. In fact, can I take here? I've used this in reverse at least. This idea of playing f4 here after capturing, because it means there might be an important tempo gain after f4 in the form of g4, which could grab some light squares actually. If the bishop moves f5, knight g3, and I grab some light. The idea of later g4 and f5 and knight g3. I'll be, I think, quite cozy on the light squares with that sort of plan. So g4, f5 and knight g3. So okay, can I play knight takes f4 here? That has damaged my cozy plan a little bit. So it's going to have to be a little bit more about the pieces, it seems now, than the pawns. So knight takes f4, bishop f7, bishop e4, rook f6, or g4, rook f6, g4, rook f6. Isn't there knight e4? That seems tempting. I'm going to play g4 anyway, I think. It seems as though knight e4 is awkward for black here. If black has to play a move like rook h6, you know, maybe I have some nice possibilities. I hope I have some nice possibilities. So rook f6, knight e4. By the way, I don't know how many of you saw the latest Terminator. Pretty good. Saw it last night. Latest Terminator. Brilliant stuff. Any of you seen that? That's great. Recommended film if you get time. So okay. So knight e4 for c3 and d4 here. Knight e4, c3 and d4. I think d5 is not an issue. Maybe I can even consider taking on c5. So c3, d4. So I only watched the original Terminator a few days back, and it's still interesting to see the original Terminator. I noticed as a techie there was reams of assembly language actually in some of the shots. Quite fascinating assembly language dumps. But yeah, to see the latest Terminator, that's really interesting. It's amazing the how it just repairs itself totally, comes back. It doesn't matter what's thrown at it. I don't want to spoil the ending, how it's taken down in the end, but it is a classic if you're into sci-fi. It comes up what is used against it in the end. So c3, it's a classic resource. So c3 for d4. I'm thinking c3 for d4 is interesting. Okay, that's ruining my cozy plan again. Okay, I could take on c5 and then play queen f3 though, I think. So maybe bishop d2 and rook ad1. Bishop d2 and rook ad1. Okay, here I can still keep protection of d3 from g3. So I'm not dropping bits off just yet. Bishop d2, rook ad1. Knight d3 is not threatened. I think queen takes d3. Bishop e3 I think runs into knight takes g4 check. Oh, so there is an element of liability. Oh, it's not cozy again. It's not cozy. Oh, well, that's so unfair, isn't it? Oh, okay. Can I take on b7? Can I dare take on b7 here? Okay. g5. I'm double daring. Take g5, the adventurous g5. I'm leaving a loose piece in the position. And d3 is about to drop. My opponent's pieces seem nicely central right now. Alright, can I do this? And then this. And then this. To at least develop my rook. And then pin that. And then put pressure on the pin with b3. Or is there something else? Rook d2 maybe? That's another sort of semi-loose issue. I don't know if knight f4 wins. Or is it? It's not. Okay. Rook d2 to g2 or h4, h5, g6. Okay, maybe this one. This plan of h5, get a form pawn installed. Or am I going to be... Whoa. Hang on. That's dangerous. Whoa. That's mega dangerous. I'm hoping bishop h2 is possible on rook h2. I don't like this. Am I just losing a whole rook or something? No. I think I'm losing a whole rook. I am losing a whole rook. Okay. I've got a few pawns for it, but it's not the ideal state of affairs, is it? Okay, try and get a form pawn over here. So if g6 will threaten checkmating, potentially. Okay, there's two connected pass pawns over here. I think h6, might as well just get my pass pawns, I think. Play the check. Let's play the check. No, let's get the pass pawns, or g6. No, not there though. One or the other. Just... Okay, so b7. Yeah, the time pressure's too much sometimes. Yeah, I thought my position was a bit airy. Yeah, I thought it was airy. I really thought it was airy. Yeah, the position intuitively, it didn't bode well intuitively. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I feel naughty after that game. I feel very naughty right now. Okay. Was I a bit too casual? Knight g5 or f5. This gives the idea of g4. Looks very tempting to me. I've played this nonsense before. This kind of thing. Usually in bullet chess, but it works very well in bullet chess. I'm sure it will work fine here. HG and queen h5. I think this is a sort of leader-inspired piece sack. I've been seeing a lot of kind of positional attacking piece sacrifices like this, which sort of liberate pieces and reduce defensive potential just intuitively. This sort of liberates this rook intuitively, but is it actually concretely winning with Queen H5 or not? There's a sort of bind, a defensive resource bind. Queen H5. Knight D4 could be a pain for Knight C2. I mean, I might have time to kick that though with C3. So I'm playing the check, and then maybe King D1 here is interesting, just to hold the fort for a moment. Knight F6, any bishop takes, there's Queen F7. I might actually threaten Queen G8 for Queen F7 there, or not. I might have to play a defensive move here, Rook E1. Okay, Rook E1. So Knight F6, Queen G8. I'm not actually sure I'm threatening that much just yet. Bishop D2 to C3 would be nice to get some more pieces into the action. So Knight F6, Queen G8, Queen F7. I don't want to keep that bishop. Is C4 a tempo of importance? I wonder. Or just play bishop D2. C4 for bishop D2. I don't know. I'll play bishop D2 here. Knight F6 around here for Queen J8, Queen F7 still doesn't seem to do much. Bishop C3 though, hold on a sec. Bishop C3 looks like a very dangerous idea. For Bishop G7, Queen H8, Queen G7, that seems a very dangerous idea. So if Bishop takes Queen F7 as mate, so I'm threatening bishop takes, knight takes, Queen H8, Queen takes G7. Alright, Knight F6 around here surely is starting to mean something on Knight takes E1, Queen G8, King E7, Queen F7. Isn't there, for example, Bishop E5? I'm hoping it means something now, Knight F6. Will I have enough attacking prospect there? Am I just losing an exchange? So knight takes Queen G8, King E7, Queen F7, king d6. Bishop takes e5 check. King c6. It's difficult to calculate this stuff. I'm not sure it's really doing that much. Let's see though. There's a choice here. There is in this position knight takes or bishop takes. Or f takes. F takes. Maybe f takes is safest. I think that springs to mind. Crazy, but b4, b5 as well if the king was on c6. Right. If I took that. My rook really needs to come into the game. Queen d5 check here. Knight g4. Knight d7. Maybe knight e4. King d2 and rook a1 for rook f1 if I ever get the chance. So I'm trying to prepare rook a1 to f1. Oh, okay. Well, plays, yeah. Okay. I think I overcooked things on the attack there. I thought it was interesting. Okay, bits. It's probably to take too long to analyze, but maybe I had a chance there at some point. Okay, knight's going to c6. Okay, f5 here. going to d4 here. This is very different from the London system encounters I've noticed. Knight d4 might actually threaten knight f3. If it takes knight f3, knight d4, interesting. Castle's queenside. Is knight d4 a crazy move? Castle's queenside c5. c5. Am I getting hacked to death here? It's likely. Oh, this looks a bit scary. This looks more than scary. Okay. I think I've got a few weaknesses around the shop. Knight takes g6 might be interesting. There is actually, is there bishop e6? Maybe bishop e6. And rook e8. b6 for, oh, this looks worrying. Okay, but anyway, maybe more worrying was earlier. b6 for knight d4. Aha. Whoa. I need a fence. Knight f8 is going to be handy. I assume. It doesn't look right. This doesn't look right. Okay, this does not bode well, but try this. These knights just look too good. I can't get rid of them. h6 looks, so I'm asking to be demolished. c4 in the circumstance. Don't know what else to do. Maybe c3 offers something later. For rook c8. I hope. Maybe rook c8 to c6. Oh, this doesn't look good. I'll take that. Alright, can I do... h6? Knight g6. Knight c5. Try knight c5. Oh, I don't really know. Okay, I think I'm getting blasted here, but anyway, I'll try knight c5. Okay, shield. Some shield needed. Oh, okay. No, I don't know. Oh, there's a rook e1 resource if queen g5. Rook takes, king takes, knight g5, queen takes. If rook takes, rook e1. Something at least. So how would I invoke the powers of that? 16 seconds. I haven't really got that much time to think about this. Maybe rook d8. Oh, rook d8. I'm not really convinced by this. Knight g6 by my defense. Oh, rook e8 for rook e1. Well played, yeah, it's too much of an attack. Yeah, too much. Well played. Yes, I just couldn't defend that. Getting murdered this week. One last game, I think. Is it one or two last games? Atlanta Gambit. Okay, is Atlanta around? Okay, I think... okay, I might have to abort this without further ado. Let's try and get one last game. except from Jester, I hope. Try and get one last game in. Is Jester around? Jester, are you around? 1 jest, 2 jests, 3 jests, 4 jests, 5 jests, 6 jests, 7 jests, 8 jests, 9 jests, 10 jests. Okay, I think I have to have bought that. Okay, one last game this week. E4. So bishop e2 and c4. It's Nigel short bishop move. Black's got a bit of congestion issues. Okay, I think a move like h3 is sometimes useful. Can I play queen d2 and bishop h6? Alright, that might help my f-file campaign. So queen e2 and over here. Rook, queen, okay, queen f2. Bishop c4 for bishop d3. Right, if I take on d5 here, is that f5 square going to be useful later? I'm assuming. Okay, this looks interesting. Knight f4. Maybe queen g3, knight h5. Queen g3 and knight h5. Or e6 and knight e5 for knight g6. That looks actually quite appealing. e6 for knight e5. Aha. It looks very dangerous. I think I'll go for it, actually. f8's knight e5. How sound is this? Actually, maybe g5 is good or not. G5 might be something. This, I think, it just loses the bishop, doesn't it? G5 might have been a shot. To be fair, yeah, I'm not convinced about the pawn sack. Thanks. Let's have a quick look at that for a moment. That e6. What does the computer think here? Oh, black's much better. Being a bit unsound today. More unsound maybe than usual. That's hard, isn't it? Knight e5. It does mention g5, yeah. Knight h5. It might not be the end of the world for white, though. It's actually it changes his mind a bit. Depends on how much analysis, I guess. No, G4. Yeah, this might. I don't know. It's changing its mind, but visually to me, as I thought there was compensation there for that pawn sack. Black's got the bishop pair anyway. If I don't do anything too quickly, the bishop pair as a long run asset is going to be great. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this session this week. I'll take you to that. Just remind you the amazing voucher code Kingscrusher. You can get 15% off. You can get to play even world champion Magnus Carlsen. So great opportunities to play even the world champion, and you get all the perks of premium membership. So check that out, Kingscrusher voucher code. So I'll see you next week. Yeah, have a nice rest of the day, rest of the week, and take care. Keep warm. Thanks very much. Cheers then.